Okay, we're recording.
Ready? Meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council is sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District. It's now called to order. We'll have roll call. Let the record reflect that all board members are present. If we'll all rise, Commissioner Edwards will lead us in the prayer, and Commissioner Champagne in the pledge.
Gracious and eternal God, we so thank you for another day upon the land of the living. Thank you for your traveling grace for all of us coming to this place. We pray that peace be on all of our mind, love be in all of our heart, dear God, and we do all the things that we need to do, dear God, and with a disagreement that they don't be antagonistic. And in the end, we pray that you get the glory and you get the honors. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. Little housekeeping, if you would, please, if you have a cell phone, either put it on silent, turn it off, throw it out the window, whatever. We can move to the next item on the agenda.
Agenda item 2, executive session. This is going to be withdrawn. 3, status report by the executive port director.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Council. It's been a very busy couple of weeks. We've had lots of meetings. I'll kind of hit the highlights here for you. First thing, on our financials, we actually delivered the adopted budget binders to each of your offices today. So if there are any questions, please give us a call. And the adopted budget, oh, it's in your chair. And it is uploaded to the website as well. So just, talking about some of the high points over the last couple of weeks, we did make another trip to Mobile to APM Terminals with Reverend Edwards, and he had an opportunity to see the container operation there, and lots of good discussion took place. We also had a meeting with several members of the council as well as the parish, talking about what we're thinking of doing with the ferry system, going to a single ferry system, and what we think the future may look like. And we took that opportunity this week to have this discussion in preparation for the town hall meeting next week. So it was a very, very good meeting, and I think we accomplished our goals in that meeting. One of the things that happened this week, we also had the captain of the port and her deputy here this week, just looking at kind of the state of the port, where we are today, where we're going in the future in terms of our growth, and very good dialogue back and forth. And I think the takeaway from that meeting is we're, planning to make sure that Plaquemines Port really has a close partnership relationship with the U.S. Coast Guard Captain of the Port. We also had a call with the Joint Transportation Chairman, Representative Wright, yesterday on House Bill 581, and I think what we see in the document is he explained how he got to that, and it was actually a very good dialogue. And as we understand it right now, that document is not going to be moved forward. But I'd like to let Melissa talk about that, just kind of at a high level.
Yes, there's a bill to create the Louisiana Port Authority. And so what this authority would do would be the final say, if you will, for all the ports within the state. They would have the right to approve any and all construction projects, funding. They would take a look at any engineering plans moving forward. So it's an umbrella that would all have to be directed up to this authority. Any movements by the ports would have to be approved by a joint committee from the House and the Senate. So it would be a very detailed process in terms of economic development, where this group would say which ports would qualify based on their determinations. So the fact that this is not seeming to be a very active bill at this time is a good thing, but we're going to continue to monitor it.
So when you look at the way the bill is actually written, and when you listen to kind of the process and where they're trying to go with it, they use Florida and the Florida Port Council as an example of what they would like to see. And obviously, everybody knows that I came out of the Florida system, and I'm very familiar with the Florida Ports Council and how it interacts with the ports, kind of as a conduit to the legislators. It's not a bad setup. It works in Florida. I think when we finished the meeting, I felt a lot more comfortable about the dialogue. So it is not, a consolidation bill. So we're very happy with that. So moving on to the next items. We do have a meeting set on Monday with Jefferson Parish to discuss the Peters Road bypass, and this is more of a parish-to-parish with port interface conversation, just understanding at a high level on where we are in the project. And I think, as all of you know, we have the town hall meeting here in Belle Chase next week, and the port will be there to participate, and we'll be ready to talk about, the container terminal, and what we're looking at, with the new ferry system. And then at the end of next week, we actually have a stakeholder meeting coming up with the Union Pacific coming to town. We're also going to have APM here. We're going to have Maersk here. I'm going to have all of our other stakeholders, and we're going to have a two-part meeting. The first part is to focus on the 11-mile extension project, and then the second part is to focus on the bypass. And our goal here is just to make sure that we catch up on all the details and that we tie all of the timelines and projections together. Last thing, we're also planning a trip to D.C. to meet with our legislators, likely with the Federal Rail Administration and MARAD the last week of this month. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Before I ask the board members if they have any comments, I just want to make an observation. What we have, and when I say we, the port director and I have discussed is because there's so much information that needs to be distributed to the board members, that we are making every effort to do that. But I also encourage board members to make the call to the port office, to talk to some of the staff people, to clarify any questions you may have and bring you up to date, because as human beings, we may tend to overlook something unintentionally, and it's not fair to the board, it's not fair to the staff if we don't try to expand that communication. With the port bill, my personal feeling on this is that we are very aware of any bill that appears to jeopardize the autonomy of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District. And we're on the same page there, all of us. So I think it's important that the board members and the public know that the port staff is on top of these bills. We have our representative in Baton Rouge keeping us abreast of what's going on. He acts as a conduit to make sure that we know what legislators are thinking in regards to the port bill. I know we have the impression that the bill's not going anywhere, but that's not going to mean we're not going to do our due diligence, because as in the past, my experiences are that any port bill that has the appearance of consolidating, of creating another bureaucracy, opens the door to a complete port takeover. I recall Governor Edwards, God bless him, may he rest in peace, saying there's only going to be one land-based casino, and the money's going to go to the teachers. Well, first of all, teachers didn't get the money. And second of all, what parish can you go through and not see gambling at a truck stop? So it opened the door, because once that happened, people figured out ways to expand. So they didn't put casinos on land, they put them on piers over the water. But it expanded gambling. So, and I don't know if that's a good example or not, but we don't want that to happen to us, and we're very much aware of that. That's really all I have. Any board members, cue in if you have anything? Commissioner Konovich?
Yes, that's my concern about going to a state deal like they do. I talked to Mr. Tillerson about it. You know, if the Port of Plaquemines goes into this group of ports, so does the property the port owns. So does the rent that the port gets. And my concern is that the people paid for this property through a millage. So that property goes away, and the people who paid for it is going to get nothing from it. And does that main board, now they get the chance, they could put millages on the ballot to charge the people of Plaquemines to pay for things. And I'd like to see what we could do to stop them from taking the property if it does go to a one port board, because it's the parish's people's money that paid for the property.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah, I want to first of all thank Charles for bringing me to Mobile. It really helped me understand the port. I want to thank the staff that you have for their hospitality, and Dr. Gouis, Dick the dentist. That voice of Edwards was really off key. That's, you know, I tried. I said, what? Edward? I didn't remember ever talking like that. You know, so don't do that no more.
I will not.
Thank you.
Commissioner McCarty?
From an economic development standpoint, and us revving up our port at this time, we are the only non-landlocked port region. And I know that with economic development in other areas where the state controls that, they decide whether or not a company is going to come to your region. Also, Louisiana has never been eligible, Plaquemines has never been eligible within Louisiana for enterprise zones. We are always on the short end of the stick. Looking at it from that perspective, I feel that if we were to be moved into a state board, the dictation to Blackman's Parish would be that we would be last to develop, and that perhaps the less lucrative or less beneficial projects would come to Blackman's, and others may move to other parts of the state. So I would fight against us being part of any type of Louisiana board, especially at this time in our development. Thank you, I yield.
Commissioner Schultz.
So since you hit on it, I'm just going to take this opportunity. Town hall meeting that he referenced, a couple of the Belle Chase council members, President Hinckley, Port Executive Director, and a representative from the school board. We're going to have a town hall meeting next Wednesday, the 19th at 6 o'clock at the auditorium. This is just to go over basically communication from the parish to the citizens, what's going on in the parish, the container terminal, the ferry, hurricane preparedness from the parish side, some district updates. So about an hour and a half long. If you're able, we invite everybody to come.
Commissioner Newsom.
Thank you, Dr. Gouy. Again, I want to commend the port staff for doing this work with the ferry system. This is stuff that's been long overdue. So, Mr. Charles, Jalen, thank you guys. With anything we decide to do, there's two key points with our ferry system that we need to keep on top of things. Number one is the hours. They need to be longer hours than previously were. I know we're running Belle Chase Ferry longer, so that needs to be so people can get to and from work. You know, we plan on, so that's a big issue. And the I shouldn't say number one, but it's 1A, I guess, is the reliability of the ferries. You know, those are two extreme important issues that residents of the West Bank and especially of the East Bank have that need to be addressed through this ferry system. So, and any future thoughts or ideas, which I know you guys are on top of it, those are some key things, with just some things that I'm thinking of. The House bill that you're talking about, it sounds like you guys are all over it, but being against that, and so appreciate whatever we do. I know we have another question, I guess I got our lobbyist that we hired last meeting. Are we in a plan, and I'm sure we all have plans to make a list of things that, have they came with a list to us of what we're looking at? I mean the executive staff of you guys, or have you guys put out some hit lists that we want to see done? With that, I yield. Thank you.
Want to respond?
Yes, if I can start with the lobbyists. Yes, Melissa and I have been working very closely, with our state and our federal lobbyists, and we do have directions in front of them. We have had interaction on an ongoing basis with Baton Rouge. They will be with us next week in Baton Rouge. We also have had discussions about the meetings that will be scheduled in D.C. We've given very clear guidance on what our messaging is, what we're looking to achieve, and we will be delivering the details on a weekly basis back to the council through the chairman's meeting. So in my opinion, it's going very well. I'm very happy with the relationships that we have. You want to add anything?
Okay. I'm also in the process right now of putting together a summary, if you will, of this current bill that's on the table, so I can circulate it to the council members, so you can see in more detail what the bill is stating.
You brought up a point that I missed out on. Thank you for those updates that we get on a weekly basis. Keeps us very informed. It keeps us in the loop. Not everyone is able to attend the meetings, and these things are extremely important to me, and I want to thank you for that.
Okay. And then just to talk about the ferry, I mean, I get your 2 points, hours and reliability. And look, I get it, and I've been on the ferry. I'm going to be making surprise trips on the ferry, just kind of monitoring what's going on. but I'd like to make sure that the council understands that the executive staff, we're working very hard to solve the problems that we have, and our goal is to run the ferry like a business. And you know, hours of service, I think we're going to have to be a 24/7, ferry service. We have a lot of growth coming. Reliability is extremely important, and we're looking at using technology and innovation where we can start to track the movement of the ferries on an app, on a phone, release that to the public. We can start tracking, our, on-time percentage, and work on just changing the culture of how we operate today on the ferry. So I know it's important to the community, it's important to me, and I know it's important to our businesses here in the parish as well. So, we're paying a lot of attention to that. And you guys will be hearing from us a lot here over the next 2 or 3 months because, we're engaged now. We have, we've selected a professional services engineer to help us with our endeavor of building the new ferry platform. We still have a lot of work to do on where that's going to be, but we have a professional now in our toolbox that I'm confident is going to be able to help us to make the right decision. Yield back.
Commissioner McCarty again.
Going back to the state legislature about the Consolidated Port Board, please let us know, get together with Dr. Gouy and Mr. Champagne, and let us know whether you think we should draft a port board letter and send it out to the legislature in opposition of this.
Yeah, we'll definitely let you, we'll keep everybody in the loop on the communication. But I want to be very clear, the bill is not about consolidation. What the bill is really about is figuring out how to get the ports just to work better together. That's really what it's all about. And I tell you that the phone call that went for over an hour yesterday, Representative Wright did a very good job in helping everybody to understand how he got to putting this bill out and where and looking for how to fill some of the gaps in it. So I think just about every port out there opposed the idea of this bill, but when it was discussed, I think his intent was actually, it's not a consolidation bill, it's a bill to help us to function better together.
We had 2 suspensions for today that are not on the agenda, and I don't have copies of those. On the 2,
How does that happen?
so can we get that together before the end?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Valley, you have a comment?
Donald Valley. As you know, we've followed the port for quite some time, and I've talked to the former council, the members there, as well as most of you all. I'm thoroughly familiar with the port and the river. I've been involved in the Port of New Orleans, the operations, and the activity up in here. I've traveled worldwide to solicit business for the Port of New Orleans, which I consider us to be within the river. When we first hired Mr. Tilson, you came in and you told us, and we talked to you and gave us a lot of experience about the original plan that was here, which we all talked about was 12 to 14 years old. We talked about you going out and hiring other people, professionals, to relook at where we are today and what we should be doing with our port and how to develop it on all sides of the river, with past experiences. I guess my question is, I haven't seen anybody working on that yet. Has someone been hired? What's the expiration when you expect to receive it? And do you have any preliminary reports? I'll stop there. I've got other questions. Charles, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the port has probably 20 to 20, I think maybe 22 active initiatives that we're working on right now that, when we look at prioritizing, we're doing first things first. But what I will say is on the master plan, the staff, we've put together an outline of what we're looking for, and we're going to introduce that next week. And we had a conversation with the chairman and the co-chairman yesterday. They understand what we're looking for. They understand how we're looking at doing it, but they also understand the bandwidth challenges that we have for trying to do too many things at one time.
I appreciate that. But did you hire someone outside services?
We have not.
Why not? This is one of your plans and one of the things you told us when you came aboard.
Well, I think you probably recognize that there's no budget line item for a master plan and that budget was approved before I came on board. So we're working through the process to get approval to move forward with it. So we have not moved forward on it yet, but it is coming.
But we're making plans and talking about doing things without engaging that. I mean, and you and I both know, the last meeting, I think you said you had a surplus of $7 million. So it's not a problem not having money to do something like this. It's a problem about moving forward with the right people to determine what we need to do and what could fit into a plan. Now, second question I have to you. I've been asking probably now 7 to 9 months for financials, particularly the variance report. Being an ex-banker, I can tell you it's critical looking at what was budgeted, where we are, and what the reasons for the variance are. And again, you've had a problem, you've lost personnel, and I can appreciate some of that. You came aboard in December, January. It takes a while. 3 to 4 months is one thing. We hired Tommy to come in and help you with this. We still don't have any financial information. We still don't have variance reports. We need to go through, someone needs to go through with you, public-wise, where we are, with where the old budget was, what we spent so far, what we have left to spend, and the reasons why there's any variances whatsoever. There may not be, but at least someone can respond, line item reports. We haven't seen that. That's that category.
So, I mean, have you officially requested the financials? Have you officially
I'll
sent
talk to you all, and let me say this.
But have you officially sent a request in for the financials?
I've
Because we can
asked at these meetings, and you all keep saying it's going to be, it's going to be, it's going to be.
What I will
Put it on the agenda, which is a public meeting, that you're going to offer this. And
Well, let me just make one thing clear. The council received our financial package last week and an update on it today. So that's my requirement is to get those financials to the council. As of right now, our fund balance is $7.2 million.
I understand.
If you would like to see the financials, if you send Melissa an email, we'll make sure we get a copy to you.
Listen, I have a pretty good working relationship with you and Melissa.
Right, but if you send us an
It's
email,
not an
we'll just
adversarial
send.
position, so
We'll send
I don't
them
want
to
the
you.
public to think that at all, okay? You've offered any time I want, come up and visit with you and stuff like that. You've been very courteous on it, Charles. I guess my question is, these are public funds, okay? Where's the variance report? You don't have a variance report that I'm aware of with an explanation of any of the variances.
Well, when
would that be available?
Well, so what I can say to that is we are making progress of finishing our closing 22 out and moving our financial reports to our auditor. And the audit will be completed on schedule sometime in June of this year. So the auditing oversight is going to happen. We're on track to make sure that we get that report to our auditor this month.
I don't want to belittle it, but we've heard this so many times, and even the chairman has said, why don't you give it to them? Is there a reluctance to release any of that information? And sit down with the public, excuse me, Chairman, sit down with the public and go through line item by line item your activities?
There's no reluctance.
I know that, because you've said it. Yeah.
Any other comments,
Excuse me for interrupting.
criticisms?
Yes, I have some. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Short?
I'm sorry?
Is this things that we can handle offline to where we don't have to do it in a public forum and we can move on? Just tell me yes or no.
I'd like to handle it publicly, some of it.
What else you got?
Okay. We talked about the financial reports. When are we going to tell the public how much train traffic is coming up the road and all these boxcars are going to, the interference in the quality of life that we're going to interfere with people here? I mean, I've gone on record, I'm against the container terminal down at this location. There's other activities that we can do here. I think we need to take care of the public and the quality of life. What are we doing to take care of that? Are we going to tell them how many boxcars are coming up here, the statistical data?
Every question you brought up is in the works. Everything you've asked is in the works. So yeah, and we've got the, we told you there'd be a meeting next Wednesday. We're putting some information together. But and Charles, you can.
That's the purpose of the meeting.
Yeah.
Next week is to talk about that to the public. So again, I want to make sure that I want to make sure you understand that we have a lot of stuff on our plate, and this is the Port executive team. So we're working within our bandwidth, and we're working all of these initiatives. We're keeping things on track, and so we're doing first things first. So we plan to meet with the community next Wednesday, and that's been calendared now for 3 weeks. So that's planned. It's coming. So if you'd like to be there,
I'll be there.
You'll get an update on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Henry?
Yes, House Bill 581, have it been scheduled for a committee meeting already?
It was scheduled this morning, actually, but it's been removed. It was removed from the committee.
Gotta fight this, you know. Hey, Blackman got 70 miles of river down there. That's for the people. That's the people's gold mine. And we gotta let the people share that wealth, man. We gotta keep it for the people.
Well, Mr. Henry, I can say with 100% certainty that we're all in unison on that point. Next item.
Agenda item 3A, a financial report, budget to actual.
So as mentioned, we sent the financials. Our fund balance is $7.2 million, and we do not have a budget to actual report because of some of our processes on the tariff side, and we are working to rectify that. And I'll say within the next 2 or 3 months, we will be able to put something out that I have confidence in on the budget to actual side. But the fund balance is $7.2 million. And it in the beginning of the year it started at 7.6. So you guys have a summary report that shows you how what occurred to get us to 7.2 million. We also have our manpower table in there as well that shows all of our budgeted positions, the filled ones, as well as the vacancies.
And just not to belabor, but real quick, could you tell us, you mentioned Mr. Surpass and his work. Yes. Just bring us real quick up to date where he is in his efforts.
Yes, Mr. Surpass is doing a fantastic job. He came on board and he had to learn our ERP, our financial system, as well as, bring everything back up to where we need it to be from when the previous director departed. And we are very confident with the numbers that we have today. I'm very happy with the service, that he's providing to us. And, we are getting ready to advertise for the controller position to get someone in that position so that we can start that transition. So we anticipate that we will need Mr. Surpass for at least another 90 days. But he's doing a great job.
Okay.
Yeah, I really was trying to speak early. I thank the Pope for the short period of time that you've been on. You have been doing a tremendous job. And I know from just as one of the commissions, I know the habit I take y'all through when I come to the office as questions and asking for stuff from being on the other side. And being on this side, I have a tremendous amount of respect since you only been there, because I just know as a councilman for 3 months, I expect a lot of things happen until I got on this side that it just don't happen that quick. So I really just want to go on record commending you for small staff. The amount of stuff you all have been able to do in a small period of time is very commendable.
Thank you.
And before we move on to the next item, since you have the floor, there are two issues that we're going to bring to the table under suspension. Did you want to comment on that process?
Yes,
in your
yes.
remarks?
Yes, is now a good time to do that?
Well, it's your remarks, and you're giving us an update, so I think it is appropriate that you do it now.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I think as the council, as you know, we determined that we had an issue with the ferry system once the Point Lahash ramp was condemned by DOTD, and there was a lot of pressure on what are we going to do. We need to do it very fast. So what we decided was we would go and bring in a professional services agreement with an engineering firm. And we wanted to have some flexibility there to kind of add some bandwidth to the current staff. So we went through the RFP process. We had, several very solid proposals submitted to us. And we decided, based on the proposals, to select 2 professional service agreements instead of 1, and our RFP allowed that flexibility. And the reason that we decided to seek 2 is one of them had a lot of experience on ferry terminals and on rail stuff. One of them also had a lot of experience on container terminals. And we know we have some major projects in front of us, so we decided to select 2. So the selection on the container terminal side was Lanier Engineering. And on the ferry and rail terminal side was Infinity Engineering. And they are here in the room today. If anybody has any questions of them. But we're excited to be able to bring this to the table and ask to get approval to enter official contract with these engineering services as an extension, to the port's executive team to help to widen our bandwidth to make sure that we can deal with a lot of these initiatives a little faster, that some of them that, were just actually brought up in some of the comments. So that's it.
Yeah, and I wanted a refresher on that because we did authorize you to go seek proposals, and you went through the process.
Yes.
You've come to a decision. So later in the agenda, we'll ask the board if they're comfortable with the suspension so we can go ahead and finish that process and not have to wait 2 weeks.
Yep.
Because I wouldn't want to do anything half-baked.
Right.
Okay. Next item.
4, bids and advertisements, there are none. 5, introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
The following are all for Commissioner Gui, a resolution authorizing Charles Tillotson, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to execute an agreement with sustainability partners and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt Ordinance 22-167 adopted December 8th, 2022 to the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District Terminal Tariff Number 1 Rates, Charges, Rules, and Regulations, Rule 34, Sub-Rule 135, Sections A, B, B1, C, C1, D, D1, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to create the unclassified position of legal assistant on the Port Executive to the Port Executive Council and amend the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District manpower structure and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the Port Harbor and Terminal District to dispose of surplus movable property, specifically electronic computer equipment in unusable condition and miscellaneous materials in accordance with Louisiana statutes governing the disposal of movable property owned by a political subdivision of the state, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And that is it.
We'll move on. Well, we'll move on to the next item.
6, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 6A, ordinances and public hearings pursuant to Article 6, Section 601E of the Plaquemines Parish Charter. 6B, an ordinance authorizing Charles Tilton, Executive Director of Plaquemines Port, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt the Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Section 218, Rules for Transaction of Business before the Council as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District. Chapter 1, meetings of the Plaquemines Parish Council as the sole governing authority.
It's withdrawn. I'm withdrawing it.
C will be withdrawn also.
Okay. 7, new business. 7A, introduction of resolutions wherein suspension is being sought. We have 2. A resolution approving and authorizing Charles D. Tilton, Port Executive Director, to accept proposal presented by Lehner and Associates Consulting Engineers Incorporated for professional port engineering, architectural, and construction administrative services and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
You take. Yeah, you go ahead. That's yours. Yeah. I recognize Commissioner Champagne.
Motion to suspend.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Champagne to suspend the rules to take up an item not on the agenda. We need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Juristich. Any discussion from the board on the suspension only? Machine is open. He's not in, those present in voting, 8-0, the suspension is carried. Let's move to the item.
A resolution approving and authorizing Charles D. Tilton, Port Executive Director, to accept proposal presented by Lehner and Associates Consulting Engineers Incorporated for professional port engineering, architectural, and construction administrative services and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Offered by Commissioner
Aye.
Champagne. Seconded by Commissioner McCarty. Floor is open for comments from the public, if there are any. Mr. Valley.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of question. Hasn't Lanier done work for the port already, and hasn't it been involved in litigation with people that have done work for the port? And by the way, Lanier's a reputable company.
I don't understand the question.
Hadn't Lanier sued one of your contractors that's involved with doing work, and they've done subcontract work for the parish?
I mean, I think that's public knowledge, yes.
Okay, just want to, so you're aware that they've been involved in litigation and they've already done work for the parish?
Yes.
And they've been paid for that work already?
I'm aware of the lawsuit, but it has nothing to do with the port.
It doesn't open this up to further litigation or
It has-
work funds?
That litigation has nothing to do with the port.
Since you said it is public, what's the nature of that litigation?
I mean, it's public information. I mean,
Any other comments?
No, he's not going to respond.
Board members, Commissioner Champagne, you're up.
Yes, when we met with, I'm the vice chair of the board with you, Dr. Gouy, as you know, and when we met with Charles and his staff about hiring the professional services, I expected him to really look at one, but again, he surprised me with that we're going with two, and I thought it was ingenious. What you all did with your limited staff and using your term bandwidth, it is very limited, and you guys are maxed out. But I thought this was a wise decision by selecting two firms that one specializes, Lanier specializes in their container port expertise, and Infinity and their ferry and rail terminal expertise. And as Mr. Valet pointed out, Infinity has a fine reputation, and I think you chose wisely. And I think that in taking the course of action that you did, it's going to enable us to make smart choices and move ahead swiftly and deliberately. Again, we suspended the normal order of business so that we can move ahead at an even swifter pace. Again, maximizing your bandwidth. Again, I applaud you on that, and I think it was the right move to make. I think it's going to move us 2 weeks ahead. And again, and then if we approve these two firms, it'll set us far ahead of what we even anticipated a month ago. Again, I echo what Chairman Edwards said. You guys have impressed us from day one, and I hope to continue at this pace. I know it's fast and furious, and I hope y'all can continue doing what you're doing. Great work, and I recommend that we move forward with this. I yield.
Commissioner Konovich.
Can you give us any of the terms of the contract?
So
How long, how much?
So we're still working on what the task orders are going to look like, but they're going to be very specific task orders. So, for example, we're going to work out the task order for the ferry terminal, right? And so whatever that amount is going to be, we're going to make sure that we come to the council to get permission for that amount for that task order. If there is a rail need, then we will have a task order for the rail operation or the rail engineering, and we will have an estimate for that as well. So this is more of an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity type of agreement where, it's on an as-needed basis, and that's the way we're going to work those terms out.
Thank you.
And you will get weekly updates on what we're doing with these firms. And I want to say I'm very excited to have these two firms. I'm also a little split because there were some other really good proposals out there. They were all actually very good, and it just so happened through the ranking system that we came up with, we felt that they were the best fit for us, and as we proceed week by week through our weekly meetings, we will provide updates.
Commissioner Newsom.
Thank you, Dr. Gouy. Again, I want to comment and thank Mr. Tillotson, the Executive Director, on his due diligence on this matter, and it's very well needed. I have the same issues as my fellow Commissioner, Mr. Konovich, about how much, how long. So those things, as soon as possible, I'd like to get worked out and brought up back to this board. Also, you did say Lanier and Associates is here. Would they mind coming to speak? Or if they are here, would they mind coming to speak?
One, we need to quit patting him on the back so much. That head gonna be so big.
We can knock it down pretty quick.
Yeah, we got the power to knock it down.
Hello, I'm John Rutherford. I'm the marketing director with Lanier and Associates. Been with them for 16 years as a mechanical engineer. John Rutherford with Lanier and Associates. I'm the head of the marketing department and been with Lanier 16 years, mechanical engineer. So we appreciate the opportunity to work with you guys. We've been around for 48 years now here in the New Orleans area and have worked extensively within the parish for everybody from the ConocoPhillips Alliance refinery to UBT to currently at CHS with a lot of the barge fleeting for Cooper T, for Stone Oil. So we're a turnkey engineering service company, so we start with the conceptual engineering permitting. We know the Corps very well. We've been in front of you guys several times for permits and take it through the detailed design into construction management. So we feel like we are experts along the lower Mississippi River here. Again, we've been involved previously with the container terminal project and know a lot about the ins and outs on the container terminal side. So I think we do represent a strong case to be the engineering firm to help you guys out with the container terminal and other marine facilities as they come up. So we appreciate the opportunity.
And I have asked you guys because we have 6 new folks, new faces, as you well know, on this council. So some of us probably hadn't met you before, some have. So that's the reason I'd like to say.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you for coming.
If you guys have any other further questions, I'll be around after the meeting. I'm happy to discuss anything. And Richard Medier is one of our vice presidents who's here as well, so we're happy to discuss.
And thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all very much, really.
Commissioner Edwards.
No.
We actually have Infinity, so can, oh, okay.
Will Lanier.
We'll get him next.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
We'll get him next.
Okay.
No further comments. The machine is open regarding the Lanier contract. And the resolution is approved unanimously.
A resolution approving and authorizing Charles D. Tilson, Port Executive Director, to accept proposal presented by Infinity Engineering Consultants, LLC, for professional port engineering, architectural, and construction administrative services, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Did we suspend both? No. This will be for suspension. I'll offer it for suspension. Yeah, and seconded by Commissioner Edwards. Machine is open for the suspension only. Suspension is approved unanimously. Let's move to the item.
A resolution approving and authorizing Charles D. Tilson, Port Executive Director, to accept proposal presented by Infinity Engineering Consultants, LLC, for professional port engineering, architectural, and construction administrative services, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
That's offered by Commissioner Champagne. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Edwards. Commissioner Champagne.
Mr. Tillotson and his staff has been methodical in what they're doing. They're moving at an exceptional pace, but the moves are making it well thought out with the future of the parish, with the best interest of the parish in mind. They're keeping everyone well informed, and I'm pleased with the course of action you've taken, and I think that you're going to accelerate this process in a manner that it's going to move us forward and address some of the issues that were raised by the public. So again, Mr. Tillotson, I applaud you and your staff's decision to go with 2 firms. I yield.
Commissioner Konovich.
I'm not going to pat you on the back, but you're going to do the same thing with this one, right? Just give us the update on the terms of the agreements.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Commissioner Newsom.
I'll do the same. I'll ask if Infinity would come up to the table and speak on this matter. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. I wasn't prepared to come up and speak, but I can easily speak from the heart on this. We are very happy and honored to be selected for this assignment. Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Raul Chauvin. I'm one of the partners of Infinity Engineering. My business partner is Bill Thomasy. We've been in business for 19 years and have been working for Plaquemines Parish for about the same time. So we've done an awful lot of work in Plaquemines Parish. We've also done quite a bit of work for the port, predating Charles and Melissa, going all the way back to the previous group. We are actually doing the design for the relocation of Port Ship Service currently to make way for Venture Global. And actually, several of our other clients are within the port's jurisdiction: Stolthaven, CHS, IMT. So we actually overlap quite a bit with Lanier. And interesting fact, I'm actually an ex-Lanier employee. So is my business partner, and so are 2 or 3 members of our firm. So I know these guys very well, and I've always said good things about them. We have a great working relationship, and it's great to be a part of this. So very happy to be moving forward with this, and there's a lot of exciting things happening with the port. You guys have great opportunities in front of you, and we're happy to be a part of this.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Jurisic.
This is for Charles. Is height a requirement on these consulting firms you hire? Because these are some very tall people. They might even have crispy. That's all I have.
All right. I'm wearing pumps.
When Mr. Conlon talking about patting her back, I'm glad to clarify with Charles, because I definitely wasn't going to pat my man on that. I had made the lucky with it.
So, thank you, Dr. Gouy. I know you spoke that, and this is all kind of off base, but IMT, can you come up with an engineering way where that dust don't get spread all over the place?
Oh, goodness. Maybe use a different product. That's not.
Moving on.
It's a tough one.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Machine is open. And the resolution passes unanimously. Next item.
8, approval of the March 23rd, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
Offered by Commissioner LaFrance and seconded by Commissioner Newsom. Machine is open. And it passes 9-0. No further business is coming before the port today. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Konovich, seconded by Commissioner Jurisic. Machine is open. And this meeting is adjourned at 4 o'clock Central Standard Time.